Hello, I'm Collins H.E. Ako, and welcome to this video presentation on the missiologist Dr. Gregg Okesson. My video presentation will be structured as follows. It has an introduction and then a biographical detail of Dr. Gregg Okesson, the author's contributions against the backdrop of developments in missiology, the relevance of the author's work for Christian mission, and my appropriation of his ideas for my ongoing research. In this video presentation on missiologies of my choice, I share a brief biographical detail of Dr. Gregg Okesson, his contributions against the backdrop of developments in missiology. I discuss the relevance of his work for Christian mission and then conclude by appropriating Dr. Okesson's ideas for my ongoing research in the nexus between socio-political instability and mission. Dr. Gregg Okesson received his BA from Wheaton College in Psychology and Bible in 1988, an MA from Wheaton Graduate Bible School in Biblical Studies in 1994, an MA from Wheaton Graduate School in Intercultural Studies in 1998, and a PhD in Theology and Religious Studies from the University of Leeds in 2010 with focus on African Christianity. Dr. Okesson presently serves as the Provost and Senior Vice President of Academic Affairs at Asbury Theological Seminary in Wilmore, Kentucky. Before coming to Asbury Theological Seminary in 2011, Dr. Okesson was a faculty member at Scott Christian University in Kenya for 10 years, where he served as a lecturer in theology and as Deputy Vice Chancellor of Academic Affairs. Dr. Okesson has also served as pastor in the New York area and as a church planter amongst Muslims in north central Tanzania. He has expertise in public theology, African Christianity, global development, and cross-cultural leadership and missions. Dr. Okesson has authored numerous books and articles, and he serves on the editorial committee for the Africa Journal of Evangelical Theology and the Africa Study Bible. Dr. Okesson is the author of A Public Missiology: How Local Churches Witness to a Complex World, published by Becker Academic in 2020. He's also author to Re-Imaging Modernity, a contextualized theological study of power and humanity within Akamba Christianity in Kenya, published by Withe and Stock in 2012. He also authored Navigating Complexity in Our World, Public Theologies for Everyday Life, published by First Fruit Press 2021. The Image of God in Leadership, a contextual exploration in theology of leadership, published in 2004, and The Incarnation of Jesus Christ as a Hermeneutic for Understanding the Providence of God in an African Perspective, published in 2003, and he co-authored a book titled Advocating for Justice and Evangelical Vision for Transforming Systems and Structures, published by Baker Academic in 2016, and Public Theology for Global Witness, Essays in Public Missiology, published by First Fruit Press in 2023. Dr. Okesson has also authored and co-authored many articles like What We Mean by Public Missiology, published in 2023, Encountering the History of Missions from the Early Church to Today, published in 2020, Christian Witness to Institutions, Public Missiology and Power, published in 2015, Drinking Chai with a Sociologist, published in 2012, Religion and Politics in Kenya, Essays in Honor of a Meddlesome Priest, published in 2011, Christianity, Politics and Public Life in Kenya, published in 2010, and Pauline Usage of Doulos, A Paradigm for Living in Christ, published in 1993. Dr. Okesson's book, A Public Missiology, How Local Churches Witness to a Complex World, published by Baker Academy in 2020, was Christianity Today 2021 Book Award winner for the Missions and Global Church category. It was also Outreach 2021 Resource of the Year for Cross-Cultural and Missional category, and the 2020 American Society of Missiology Book of the Year Award. This book was also one of 10 outstanding books in Mission Studies, Intercultural Theology and World Christianity for 2020. The author's contributions against the backdrop of developments in missiology. Missiology as an academic discipline began to develop as the academic study of the Christian mission in the 19th century, citing Coleman 2011. This discipline, with the evolution of missionary work in new contexts and the shifts in the world Christian population, has evolved to seek a deep engagement in the social sciences with disciplines such as sociology, anthropology, interreligious relations, psychology, history, and with geography. Missiology now grapples with new and more complex questions in an ever-changing context, as the debate whether missiology is strictly a church discipline or an academic one continues. Approaches to mission study that seem to promote the colonial past of some mission agencies as political and economic power was used for evangelism has been questioned, as many missiologists opt for approaches in mission studies that disavow such imperialistic approaches impregnated with cultural imposition, citing Stewart 2004. Dr. Okesson, in line with the new paradigm, approaches the study of missions informed by theology, missiology in relation to global concerns, especially those related to development, power, poverty, institutions, and societal engagement. The author appears to be very sensitive to the use of language that would seem to promote imperialistic approaches to the study of missions, and the subjects treated in his books and other publications cut across other disciplines such as sociology, anthropology, development studies, etc. The author grapples with new and more complex questions such as leadership, advocacy, and making his contribution towards recent developments in the field of missiology. Now we look at the relevance of the author's work for Christian mission. Scouting through Dr. Okesson's publications, his interest in working on the correlation between theology, missiology, and global concerns, especially those related to development, power, poverty, institutions, and societal engagements, stands out. In A Public Missiology, that's one of his books, titled A Public Missiology, How Local Churches Witness to a Complex World, published by Baker Academic in 2020. This author affirms local Christian congregations as the basic unit for a new society called by God to witness to the world, citing Okesson 143. Okesson argues that to address the complex thick realities found within public spaces in which individual conversion and transformation happens, the local congregations would need to offer a more complex, thicker witness that addresses these global concerns. According to this author, this would only be if congregations ground their mission in the movements of the Trinity and acquire a better understanding of the power dynamics and the pervasiveness of the public realm. In this book, Okesson provides a theological framework for a thick public witness with ethnographic examples of the applicability of such thick public witness. In advocating for justice and evangelical vision for transforming systems and structures, Okesson and other co-authors affirm the dire need for advocacy as they illustrate how transforming systems and structures result in lasting change. These authors provide theological rationale and strategies of action for prayerful, faithful, and wise processes of advocacy for issues. Meanwhile, in The Image of God in Leadership, a contextual exploration in theology of leadership, Okesson proposes a contextual theology of leadership that dives into the human condition, the character and intentions of a God leader, citing Okesson 2004, page 22. This author further emphasizes the need for a theology that is livable, applicable to the core identity of culture. In this publication, Okesson presents a theology of leadership that draws its source from the image of God, exploring African conceptions of leadership, identity, and authority. And the author affirms that the image of God is both the intrinsic locus of leadership as well as the goal towards which true godly leadership must be directed. That is citing Okesson 2004, page 22 again. Now, talking about my appropriation of Okesson's ideas for my ongoing research. After revisiting some of Dr. Okesson's research, my proposed study on mission in a context of socio-political instability, the case of member churches of the Council of Protestant Churches in Cameroon seems to be relevant, considering what Okesson refers to as the need for local congregations to offer a more complex, thicker witness that addresses global concerns such as socio-political instability. The insurgents and subsequent Anglophone civil war in parts of the northwest and southwest provinces in Cameroon, from Okesson's perspective, could be considered as a complex, thick reality in what Okesson refers to a public space. For this author, such complex static reality would require a complex stick witness different from the thin soteriological witness practiced by many local churches. Additionally, Okesson's exploration of the image of God in leadership, as he stresses the need for a theology of leadership that is livable and applicable to the core identity of culture, leads me to think about the nexus between leadership and socio-political instability. Additionally, I ponder about exploring African conceptions of leadership, identity, and authority, and how this could inform the part of my research on the role that the Council of Protestant Churches in Cameroon could play in resolving the Anglophone crisis and in contributing towards a socio-political stability in the region. Okesson's work also reminds me of the importance of advocacy in resolving identity conflicts as the one I am researching. Informed by Okesson's work on advocating for justice, I am tempted to explore some strategies of action for prayerful, faithful, and wise processes of advocacy which could contribute towards resolving the crisis in parts of Cameroon and contribute towards promoting socio-political stability. And the last slide for this presentation contains sources that I have cited in my presentation. So thank you for your kind attention.